This is Red Dog Terrain. Welcome back to the shed. Today we're building a display for our minis. While at a local con, I saw some Warhammer players had little display dioramas for their minis. It looked like a fun way to display all their hard work and victorious space marines. I started by buying a cheap frame, removing the glass and backing, and then added 2 layers of dollar store foam board as a floor to build upon. Using my handheld hot wire cutter, I cut out what would become the walls of a bombed out building. Besides the sharp knife, I think this is the most useful and versatile tool I have. I textured the foam like boards. Speaking of boards, while watching Storycraft Society, I noticed that the host, Garmin, textures his boards and then cuts the planks, the reverse of what I do. I think his look better and the individual boards are more pronounced. From now on, this is the way I'm going to do it. After putting egg carts on the back to look like stucco or plaster, I glued the wooden parts at a 90-degree angle and glued them into the corners. I added 2 small ledges to be what's left of the second floor. Another piece of foam board would be the concrete substructure that this building sat upon. I marked out where I wanted the ground to be exposed, cut it out, and beveled the edges. While I do that, let me take a moment to ask you to like or subscribe to the channel, or comment. I love the comments the most. I have this old, rusty rasp that I use to texture the coffee stir sticks I steal from the gas station. I tried taping a whole bunch of them down at once, but it didn't really work, so I did them individually, and that seemed to work out better. I glued them all down and was quite happy until I saw the white foam board peeking through. So I ripped them all out, laid down some secret sauce, and started over. Look how nicely that fits in there. I cut a short textured post of foam to support the second floor. Realistically, this post should be 5 feet from the wall. Someone needs to fire their architect. More foam board for a small corner of wall in the foreground. I left off the egg carton, not for any particular reason, just because. I added the concrete and laid the boards, just like before. Now to make some ground cover. In an old Pringles can, I poured in the sand and rock bits that are left over from previous builds, PVA glue, and brown paint. Now, mixy. At this point, it's runny. I pour a bunch of tile grout on the bench, and some even manages to make it into the cup. That thickens it up a bit and makes it real solid. I pour it out and spread it around with a stick, but it doesn't take long before I got my fingers in it. While I fight with this thick mess, I want to thank the band IAH for the use of their songs in all my videos. Hailing from Argentina, they are super nice and talented. When I told them what I wanted to do, they were happy to let me use their songs. They even noted that their bassist is a big D&D fan. This is where we're at so far. My half-painted warband of bugbears fit right in. From here, I painted any exposed foam in the secret sauce and put down some base colors. Sergeant Bilquis Evely and the remaining Space Marines needed to find a place to regroup. Though the shattered walls would provide minimal cover, it was close enough to the drop site that they could quickly move in on the target. The wind began to pick up, blowing dust and debris through what at one point must have been someone's home. But all that remained now was faded memories, death, and the endless war. In the distance, the team heard the rumbling engines of the approaching Stormbird. They all got to their feet, checked their weapons, adjusted their armor, and waited for Sergeant's command. The aircraft passed, and a few minutes later, A thud in the distance signaled to them that their target had arrived, and they were headed out to face death once again. I decided there wasn't enough damage. I pulled out my snippers and tore up the floor. I also chopped up the ends of some of the boards that looked too clean cut. The build phase is done and base colors are down. I dry brushed with light gray, tan, stone, and light buttermilk. I use the cheap makeup brushes that I get at the Dollar Tree. Even though they don't last real long, for $1.25, they're amazing. However, the last time I went, they didn't have any. I might have to drive around town and see if I can resupply. Like kids and puppy dogs, you aren't supposed to have a favorite, but putting down washes is my favorite part of every build. It's almost impossible to do it wrong. Water, paint, and a bit of liquid soap. Mix it all up and just go nuts. Slop it on like barbecue sauce over your mother-in-law's dry Thanksgiving turkey. I used black wash on everything and then came back later with a brown wash. I even used 2 rust washes. They had a lot of color and variation in the boards and walls. Build, paint, dry brush, washes. Here we are, almost all done. I painted the frame black, then I made a mistake. I used Woodland Scenic's still water in the corner. For some reason, when it dried, it was milky. It didn't look good. I attempted to cover it up with contrast paints, but now it looks like some toxic pool of Kool-Aid. I think more experimentation is needed. Any tips are welcome. Overall, I'm happy with how it turned out. Let me know what you think.